to the channel. Welcome back to another reaction video. We got 4 teams that can't miss in the 2025 NFL draft. Let's check this out. One team for me, Bengals. They got to go all out on defense, bro.
Future of their franchise for better or worse.
They got to go all out on
defense. There's an old
defense.
saying that in order to build a successful NFL team, you must build through the draft. And in today's video, we're going to break down 4 NFL teams that can't afford to miss during the 2025 draft. These are teams that are at pivotal points in their franchise's timeline, and teams that are in a position to take the next step. The Lions entered the 2023 draft in this type of situation and absolutely nailed their draft that year as they selected Jahmyr Gibbs, Jack Campbell, Sam Laporta, and Brian Branch all within the first 2 rounds. The Texans also needed to nail the 2023 draft as they were entering a new era and selected C.J. Stroud.
I ain't gonna lie, that whole draft changed their whole franchise, bro. From C.J. Stroud to Will Anderson to Tank Dell. Hopefully that he can come back and, you know what I'm saying, that crazy leg injury doesn't ruin his career, but that whole draft just changed the whole landscape of their team, bro.
But not every draft goes that way.
Along with Kamari Lassiter as well.
Close. And if the teams we discuss in
today's
video
Kamari Lassiter was that draft, right?
Well, seats will get warm and a lot of people could be out of a job. Now, a preface for
he was last year. No teams
want to miss on a draft, so don't think there's 28 teams that can completely afford to whiff on the 2025 draft, because that's not the case either. But each situation in today's video is unique, and there is a lot to break down, so without further ado, let's begin.
When was Petrie drafted?
We are starting today's video with the Miami Dolphins. All 17 games, and even if they finish 10-7 or 11-6 and make the playoffs, that it wouldn't have really mattered, because this team shows pretty regularly that they do not have what it takes to beat the best of the best in the NFL when it matters. And it's frustrating for Dolphins fans, as whether you know this or not, the last time this team won a playoff game was all the way back in the year 2000. And the average one-bedroom apartment rent was about $542 per month.
Go back. Nigga, what?
Whether you know this or not, the last time this team won a playoff game was all the way back in the year 2000.
It's been 25 years since the last time they won a playoff game? Oh my gosh, bro. Yeah, this is a make or break season. I think this is a make or break season for Tua in general, bro. I ain't gonna lie.
It's been since Miami won their last playoff game.
Because if you don't ball out this year, we're gonna have to start having that conversation, nigga.
When it mattered was they were not a strong team up front. And it's not a coincidence the Dolphins went from first in yards per carry in 2023, in a year where they averaged 5.1 yards per carry as a team, to 28th in a year where they averaged over a yard less per carry, as they averaged just 4.0 yards per carry in 2024. Left tackle Terron Armstead retired this offseason, and Terron Armstead was good.
I've been seeing a lot of people go like Will Johnson and stuff, and you know what I'm saying, Dolphins first round mock draft. I think they need to go tackle, bro, like Kelvin Banks or something like that, because they need to protect Tua. If Tua gets another concussion this year, bro, it's Rob's first career.
But he played in 15 games in 2024.
And nigga, you could be able to pour that nigga brain out of the side of his head, bro. Real shit. That shit gonna come pouring out his ears.
Level is already a difficult task in itself, but there's the rest of the offensive line that has to play better, which is a unit I admittedly have questions about, and then the Tyreek Hill situation. 2024 second-round pick Patrick Paul is slated to replace Terron Armstead, and Paul played sparingly in his rookie season at both the left and right tackle position, and there were mixed results for Paul during his rookie year. And I think expecting Paul to take a big step in year 2 is a lot to expect from a developmental tackle, and I've said before I'm not a big fan of veteran guard Liam Eichenberg. But I do want to credit the Dolphins for taking a risk and signing James Daniels this offseason to a 3-year deal. It was a relatively low-risk signing, and if it works out, then the Dolphins have a solid starting guard for an average of $8 million per year. Now, for Daniels specifically, it is worth noting he is coming off of a torn Achilles, and that obviously played a big part as to why he only received an average of $8 million per year. All of this to say that Miami's offensive line already has questions up front prior to the 2025 draft. I'm also not the biggest Austin Jackson fan either, and I think it's more than reasonable to say the Dolphins should try
he going to a contract year or
early and often within the 2025 draft. Unfortunately, I think Will Campbell is too talented to fall to pick 13, but there is a real possibility that either Josh Simmons from Ohio State or Kelvin Banks from Texas are there, both of
I
whom
think they take
would
Kelvin
upgrade the
Banks.
offensive line.
Because Kelvin Banks got a lot of, you know what I'm saying, flexibility to play tackle, guard, you know what I'm saying? And that's
Both
something
of
they
whom I
really
think would be
need.
longtime starters too.
So I think they
But
go
why this
Banks,
draft
and I
in
think Josh
particular
Simmons
is
goes
so
to
important
Houston.
for the Dolphins is they just signed Tua to an extension, and there's some questions about the culture already within the Dolphins locker room. And that's not good, especially when their GM is, or at least should be, on the hot seat as, again, they have not won a playoff game in nearly a quarter of a century. They're also in a division with the Josh Allen-led Bills, who of course aren't going anywhere, and the Drake May Patriots, who appear to be on the rise. Miami has finished second in the AFC East for 3 consecutive years, and their way to trying to dethrone the Bills and winning the AFC East starts in the trenches.
They're not
and it
winning the
starts
AFC East
with a
anytime
successful
soon, bro.
2025 NFL draft.
And then, hey, I heard a rumor they might be trading Jalen Ramsey. That's cool. That's gonna be interesting. I'm not gonna lie, bro. So if they do trade J Ram, it's kind of hard to not see them draft a corner. But like you gotta build in the trenches in this draft, man. And this cornerback draft class is really good too. So
Next up is the Chicago Bears.
Maybe they
are coming
can
off of a
draft,
5-12
like, Benjamin
season,
Morrison
and they're
or something in the
interesting
second round.
position because this isn't just the first time that they drafted a quarterback in the first round and proceeded to fire the head coach and GM the following year, or in Matt Eberflus's case, the first time in franchise history in which they fired a coach during the middle of the season. But this is the third consecutive time they've done that, whether it was with Mitch back in 2017 or with Justin Fields in 2021. Caleb Williams is the next quarterback to have to go through what each of his predecessors did. But Caleb Williams was a better prospect than both Mitch and Justin were when they came out of North Carolina and Ohio State.
And Caleb didn't play all that bad, bro.
Because
you know what I'm saying?
They are in a situation with their quarterback.
See, he had to do that all last year, bro. Run for his life.
Ultimately, this is a franchise that has made that they have to produce this year.
When
and they
Caleb
have to
do
be
this?
better because ultimately this is a franchise that has made the playoffs twice since 2011, and they exited the wild card round both times. One was due to a double doink, and one was in a game in New Orleans where they didn't really stand a chance to begin with. Although it is worth noting that Mitch Trubisky took home the MVP of that game. Now, the Bears are in an interesting situation because for the first time in a while, they have a great head coaching candidate. This isn't just a Matt Eberflus going into Justin Fields' second season that the fans have to do a lot of alley-oops and jumps and hoops to go through to convince themselves that he's the guy. This is the head coaching candidate that multiple teams sought after, and he was the most sought after head coach in a couple of off seasons. He turned down Washington, he turned down Jacksonville to coach the Chicago Bears, and that is encouraging for Bears fans to really buy in entering the 2025 season, especially when you have Rome Odunze, who was the number 9 overall pick last year, and DJ Moore, and of course Caleb Williams.
Rome Odunze gonna have a breakout year this year, bro. I'm telling y'all right now.
Back in 2021, and the second best quarterback prospect in the past 10 years.
It's like, bro, these stats aren't bad. You know what I'm saying? 62.5 completion percentage, 3.5K, you know what I'm saying? 20 pass touchdowns to 6 picks. And most of those picks were at the beginning of the year, so he really had a great year if you know what I'm saying, really looking at it, bro. 87 passer rate is not bad at all. So hey,
of encouragement, but
Caleb had a good ass year, bro. I don't care what nobody said.
Times as a rookie, and
you know what I'm saying, playing behind that O-line
around during his rookie season, and you could see the frustration from Caleb, and rightfully so at times, might I add. Now, just because he was sacked 68 times does not mean every single one of those sacks was on the offensive line. Caleb himself has to be better, but so did the offensive line.
He did hold on to the ball a lot, but
line in a big way this offseason.
He just had nowhere to go, bro. Real talk.
Dominant free agency, and also trading for
this game, they got wrecked.
I liked all of these moves because they were trying to do everything, and also trading for Jonah Jackson, and I liked all of these.
Bro, I felt so bad for Caleb Williams. This game and the game against the Texans, they got obliterated.
Jackson, and I liked all of these because they were trying to do everything they can in their power to give Caleb Williams
oh my gosh, bro.
This draft isn't just important for the future of Caleb Williams and ultimately his confidence as he grows in the NFL, but it's also important for Ben Johnson to lay the foundation of the roster that he wants to build for 2025 and beyond.
I want to see how he gonna unlock Caleb Williams, though, bro. You saw what he was able to do with Jared Goff
in the Motor City. Whether it was Jahmyr Gibbs having a 1,900 total yard season in 2024, which at the time the Lions received a tremendous amount of criticism for selecting him number 12 overall, and also left hand up. I love the pick when it was made. And they also drafted drafted Sam
Roll
Laporta in the
Tide.
second round of the 2023 draft, left hand up. I did not like that selection, as I thought they should have drafted Michael Mayer over Sam Laporta, which I was admittedly wrong on looking back. But we've seen everything that Ben Johnson did over the past couple of years, whether it was both of those guys in the 23 class, whether it was Amon-Ra becoming an all-pro, whether it was Jamison Williams becoming a 1,000-yard year and overcoming adversity that he had to go through, or whether it was
Like
Jared Goff
J-Mo.
as a top 5
Please stay,
MVP
bro.
candidate
Please stay out of
and
trouble
throwing for
next year, bro.
37
Well, next
touchdowns
season.
en route to winning 15 games as a starting quarterback in the NFL. This is a pivotal draft for the Bears for the future of the
Pick's
franchise.
crazy, I
And
ain't gonna
Caleb
lie.
Williams, like any young quarterback or even old quarterback for that
5 of them
matter,
was in one
could use
game.
a good run game. And I think the Bears did a tremendous job in free agency to not only help pass protect better than what they did in 2024, because at times Caleb did not stand a chance, but also for him to be able to relax and be able to hand the ball off to a guy like Omarion Hampton if he's available at number 10, because I'll be honest, I don't think Ashton Genty will be available at number 10, because I think he's going number 6 to the Raiders.
They either go Hampton or they go D-line in this draft, bro. Maybe like Mike Green or Jalen Walker if he's available. You know what I'm saying? Panthers might take him, I ain't gonna lie, but it's gonna be very interesting,
for the Bears
bro.
to be able to draft a running back early, or to draft another edge
I had the
opposite
Bears
Montez
taking Mike
Sweat,
Green in my
and
last
really
mock
to be able
draft.
to set the tone and establish the team they want to be for 2025 and beyond is absolutely critical in the 2025 draft. They have 3 selections in the top 41 due to the Bryce Young trade a couple of years ago, and the Bears, I know we hear this a lot that they're offseason champions, but they can really set the tone with the 2025 draft, and for the first time in a couple of years, I legitimately believe in this coaching staff. I was always
This
a
nigga-
foot half out the door with Matty Fears.
this
I
nigga
legitimately
aura farming
believe
shit.
in this
Look at this motherfucker aura farming and shit. He know exactly what he
coaching
doing.
staff.
You not
I was
slick,
always a
nigga.
foot half out the door with Matt
You
Eberflus
not slick,
during the
gang.
2024 season, because there were a lot
Yo.
of rumors about him already being fired after the 2023 season. And anytime there's rumors about a coach being fired before the season starts, I'm always hesitant to buy in because of everything we know that's already swirling around the team before the games are even played. I know this may seem hard to believe, but there is a legitimate opportunity for this team to go from 5-12 like they were in 2024 to nailing each of their top 3 selections in the top 41 of the 2025 draft, and having Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson be a good quarterback and head coach duo to winning 9, 10, 12, 13 games over the next couple of seasons. But ultimately, it starts with the 2025 draft. Next up is the Carolina Panthers, and they make today's
Carolina.
video for a couple of reasons. The big story
Yeah,
with
they
the
gotta
Panthers
give my
during
boy
the
Bryce some
2025
help, man.
offseason was how they ended their 2024 season compared to how it started. They were outscored 73-13 in the first 2 games of the 2024 season, and they didn't look like a bad football team. They looked like one of the worst teams over the past 5 to 10 years. Bryce Young was benched after a 26-3 Week 2 loss to the Chargers, and 14-year veteran Andy Dalton came in and led the offense to 36 points in a Week 3 win over the Raiders. Bryce Young eventually became the starter again, and the time on the bench proved valuable. And in the final 10 games of the year, the Panthers had a 4-6 record, and Young
Nah, I
had
ain't gonna lie,
20
this was cold. That was
in
a
the final
cold
10 games
touchdown.
of the year, the Panthers
That
had
was a
a
cold
4-6
touchdown,
record,
but I
and
ain't
Young
gonna
had
lie.
20 total touchdowns to just 6 interceptions. And where the Panthers are today is a position that they seemingly never thought they would be in after just 2 games were played to start the 24 season. And for how good of an end of the
Yeah,
year
all
that it
Bryce
for
needed was his
Carolina,
confidence.
they still need to improve the roster if they want Bryce to take a bigger step in 2025 and for him to solidify himself as the Panthers franchise quarterback. This team has just 3 selections in the top 100, as they have their own first-round pick at pick 8, the Rams' second-round pick at 57, and their own third-round pick at pick 74. They do not have their second-round pick this year because of the Bryce Young trade. This team is in an interesting situation because their defense last year wasn't just below average or bottom 5. No, it was horrific, and when you factor in just how bad their defense was in 2024, along with a not great receiving core entering a put-up or shut-up season for Bryce Young, this is why the Panthers can't miss in the 2025
That's what
draft.
lost him the game right
The
there. That
Panthers' leader
play.
in sacks last year was a tie between A'Shawn Robinson and Jadeveon Clowney, and neither player was particularly great last year, and even
Yeah,
despite
Clowney.
other guys in free
Hey, my nigga, you chose to leave us to go to Carolina. I understand that's your hometown and shit, but you don't want to win a ring, do you, bro?
agency to try and help both the pass rush and run defense,
Crazy.
like Tershawn Wharton, Bobby Brown, and Patrick Jones. They still lack a true alpha
I
pass
feel, bro,
rusher that could
I feel like
succeed.
Pat
Bobby
Jones
Brown
might
and
go
Patrick
crazy this
Jones
year because a lot of people don't realize he had 7 sacks last year behind guys like Jonathan Grenard and Van Ginkel who had double-digit sacks. I ain't gonna lie, bro. He might ball out this year.
They still lack a true alpha pass rusher that could consistently be a double-digit sack player.
So maybe adding like
drafts,
a Jalen Walker to that.
I've mocked Marshall Edge Mike Green,
You know what I'm saying? Or Mike Green.
not just once, but multiple times. And it's because a great
I had them going
T
T-Mac in my final mock
to a
draft.
team that had one of the worst defenses we've seen over the past several years in 2024.
I could definitely see them going D-line.
And while Mike Green would obviously be a great addition to the Panthers, so would Arizona receiver Tetairoa McMillan. I am a huge Tetairoa McMillan believer, and I think he is one of the most overthought prospects in the entire 2025 draft, and I absolutely love the idea.
Yeah, and then, you know, people took whatever he said out of context about him not liking to watch film. That doesn't mean he doesn't watch, you know what I'm saying, film like Johnny Manziel did. You know, some people just probably love like just play football and not to watch it or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But I feel like that's not really gonna drop his stock for real, bro.
T-Mac with Bryce,
you know, wherever he goes, he's gonna ball out regardless. You know what I'm saying? And Carolina's a perfect spot for him to go, bro. To be a true number one wide receiver. And they got kind of a wide receiver too in Leggett, then a veteran guy like Adam Thielen.
The defense is important. Nobody is denying that, and especially the pass rush in today's era. But you're also in a very critical situation with your quarterback, whose future at this point. But you're also in a very
Quentin Johnston caught that, so you can catch that, but you can't catch a 5-yard hitch route. See, this nigga, bro, he is so confusing as a player, bro.
Whose future at this point is hopeful, but by no means is there guaranteed success. Entering the 2025 offseason, that is one thing that I think gets kind of forgotten about, or at least not discussed as much as it should, is some people legitimately think Bryce Young is here to stay, and that the 10-game stretch we saw to end the 2024 season is his floor as a player moving forward. And while I hope that is the case, nothing is guaranteed. And whether the Panthers choose to go receiver or edge with their first-round pick, for the sake of their hopeful franchise quarterback, head coach, and GM, this draft is absolutely crucial for the Carolina Panthers. Next up is the New England Patriots, and they're in today's video for a couple of reasons that are very similar to the Chicago Bears.
So no Cincinnati, bro. I feel like Cincinnati for sure should have been on this list, or at least an honorable mention, bro. Because if they don't go full out on defense this year, bro, in the draft, I don't think they ever going to be in contention for a Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? Because offense, nowhere near the problem. You know what I'm saying? They had the worst defense last year, or at least one of the worst defenses. The only reason why they missed the playoffs for real. And then you got Trey Hendrickson, you know what I'm saying, potentially getting traded. Sam Hubbard retired. So you really need some help in the D-line. You need some help in the secondary because let's be real, bro. Cam Taylor-Britt, he's up and down. You know what I'm saying? DJ Turner's still raw as a corner. Who else? Do they still got Mike Hilton? I don't know, but like he's just a nickel. So you got a lot of weaknesses on that defense, bro. That they need to handle.
Vikings and Packers.
I don't think linebackers are a problem, though. They still got Pratt, Logan Wilson, bitch ass nigga.
Pretty unfortunate because Josh will be just 29 years old in May, and he just signed an extension to stay in Buffalo for the next several years. The Patriots' offseason game plan entering every offseason should be pretty simple. How do we get good enough to the point where we can go into Buffalo and win when it matters? And by the way, I know the Patriots had a rough 2024 season, but
they almost beat Buffalo last year
for having as tough of a season as they did and legitimately getting the game late in the year. I think that's a confidence booster for the Patriots moving forward. But one thing that I do not have confidence in them long term is the current left side of the offensive line. Fedarian Lowe was a 6th-round pick a couple of years ago.
That's why I think they go Will Campbell.
He played like a 6th-round pick. Layden Robinson was a 4th-round pick last year, and I hope Layden Robinson can
they could go Armand Bimbu.
Unfortunately, during his rookie year, he also played like a 4th-round pick that was expected to play significant snaps. They signed Garrett Bradbury in free agency this offseason after he was released from the Minnesota Vikings, and what I will say about Bradbury is there was a reason he was released. Good offensive linemen do not get released, and there was a reason the Vikings cut Garrett Bradbury after starting for the team for 6 seasons. Again, good offensive linemen do not get cut, and I have a lot of concerns with the Patriots' offensive line.
God damn, that nigga allowed 37 pressures? Oh, shit.
Linemen do not get cut, and I have a lot of concerns with the Patriots' offensive line prior to the 2025 draft. Ultimately, I think the Patriots' game plan in the 2025 draft is pretty simple. Draft good football players to the point where we can go in and beat Buffalo when it matters, which I don't think.
How many draft picks the Patriots got in this draft?
Now, they can set themselves up for a lot of future success by nailing the 2025 draft, but ultimately, with where Buffalo's roster is today, I do think that even if the Patriots
arguably the best tackle in this draft class,
that Buffalo will still win the division.
If you want versatility, I guess you could probably go Will Campbell. He'll most likely still stick out tackle, but like he can play guard. I don't know, bro. Like you couldn't go wrong with either one. You know what I'm saying? Two SEC tackles.
But if they draft Will Campbell or Armand Mabou at number 4 overall and have a long-term solution along the offensive line to plug one of the other 4 positions that's not filled by Mike Onwenu, that is a step in the right direction. We are also at a point in the NFL where there's not going to be a bad receiving class again. Now, they're not all going to be Malik Nabers and Brian Thomas Jr. and Marvin Harrison and Rome Odunze and everybody else that was in the 2024 class, and even Ladd McConkey. And if you want to throw Brock Bowers in as a receiving prospect as well, although he is a tight end, you get the point for being an elite pass catcher. We're not going to have that type of class every single year, but the 2025 draft class is not bad at the receiver position the way people want to make it out to be.
Not for real, bro. And like, I'm so sick and tired of the Luther Burden respect gang. A lot of analysts don't have him mocked in the first round. I don't think Daniel Jeremiah had him mocked in the first. Like, bro, like, of course, yeah, he had a down year. It's not his fault that his quarterback, you know what I'm saying, was hurt and the quarterback was dog shit. You know what I'm saying? I think Luther Burden is still going to be going in the first round. It's only a matter of what team he goes to. I got him going to the Packers for them to finally get a true number 1 wide receiver. He could go to the Broncos. That's a strong possibility. But like he's going the first round. Like
the receiver position.
I'm tired of the disrespect.
Middle school and having those guys develop from the time they're 11 or 12 years old all the way until they're 21 or 22.
Another interesting spot would be
have a bad receiving class again. So if the Patriots draft a receiver in the second round to pair with Armand Mabou or Will Campbell in the first round, that is a step in the right direction. Now, I did like the Stephon Diggs signing this offseason for a couple of reasons. I don't think Diggs is necessarily going to be worth the contract that he signed, as he signed an average annual value north of $20 million.
But they have an opt-out after like 2 years, right?
Look at the Patriots roster with where it is today, there's going to be nobody that they can't afford to pay due to the Stephon Diggs contract. And that's a lot of the time my logic for breaking down free agency signings is, can you now not pay anybody because you signed a player to a long-term contract? And that's not the case with Stephon Diggs, and only about 26 of the
that nigga banging Cardi B now, bro.
So I thought it was a good deal for
that nigga gonna be think he the shit
but
this
if you
season,
draft a big receiver, maybe a Jaden Higgins from Iowa State, to pair with an offensive lineman in the first round, that is a step in the right direction. And honestly, my goal for the Patriots in the 2025 draft, or what I would like them to do, is have a draft very similar to what the Chargers did last year by drafting Joe Alt in the first round and Ladd McConkey in the second round. The Patriots game plan is very simple. Do everything you can to improve the roster and to give Drake May a fighting chance in 2025 and beyond. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please like and subscribe, as only about 46% of people watching are subscribed and helps the channel tremendously. Until next time, please be safe and have a great day. Love you guys.
Hey man, this is a good ass vid. Wanna know what you guys think though down in the comments below? Y'all let me know what other NFL videos I'm to react to. Without further ado, I'm now.
I'ma make them feel me, make them people when they show me. And if you don't know me, I'ma make sure that you know me. I hate to say it, but I really think I'm broke. But I know I'm chosen, I really know I'm chosen. I know I'm chosen. I was just lost a year ago, but now I'm focused. When good at sports, this microphone can be my trophy. Not taking drugs, I found a better way of coping.